Wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools because they have to say something. The part cannot be well or wise. When men drink, then they are most affectionate, so I believe is it with their wisdom. Must not all things at the last be swallowed up in death? The greatest penalty of evildoing, namely, to grow into the likeness of bad men. The blame is his who chooses. God is blameless. The life which is unexamined is not worth living. To prefer evil to good is not in human nature. And what, Socrates, is the food of the soul? Surely, as the body is fed by food, so the soul is fed by knowledge which is acquired under compulsion, has no hold on the mind. Poverty consists not in the decrease of one's possessions, but in the increase of one's greed. Let us affirm what seems to be the truth, that whether one is or is not, one and the others in relation to themselves and one another, all of them are, and have being, and have the fairest and the best. The community which has neither poverty nor riches will always have the noblest principles. They do certainly give very strange and newfangled names to diseases. No one ever teaches well who wants to teach, or governs well who wants to govern. The direction in which education starts a man will determine his future life. This and heaven itself is poetry, the light, the love, the majesty of everything. Those who love themselves most are least able to love others. All men are by nature equal, made all of one piece with the little soul joining them. Apply yourself both now and in the next life. Without effort, you cannot be prosperous. Every heart sings a song incomplete until another heart whispers back. Excess of grief for the dead is madness, for it is an injury to the living. He who commits injustice is ever made more wretched than he who suffers it. I have hardly ever known a mathematician who was capable of reasoning. If a man neglects education, he walks lame to the end of his life. It is clear then that a prosperous state must have a great number of excellent men. Justice in the life and conduct of the state is possible only as first it resides in the hearts and souls of the citizens. No evil can happen to a good man, either in life or after death. Nothing beautiful or good is created suddenly. Now I, for one, continue to believe that there can be no sound democratic constitution until the wealth of the nation is distributed among its citizens. One of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. Poetry comes naturally to the wise. The god of philosophy is not a being, but a process. The man who makes everything that leads to happiness depend upon himself and not upon other men has adopted the very best plan for living happily. The most virtuous are those who content themselves with being virtuous in obscurity. There are three arts which are concerned with all things. One which uses, another which makes, a third which imitates them. There is no harm in repeating a good thing. To love is to wish good things for a person. We ought to fly away from earth to heaven as quickly as we can. And to fly away is to become just and holy and wise. You are young, and there is no harm in doing as many things as you can. At the touch of love, everyone becomes a poet. Courage is knowing what not to fear. The price good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. Human behavior flows from three main sources: desire, emotion, and knowledge. The heaviest penalty for declining to rule is to be ruled by someone inferior to yourself. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. One of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. Ignorance, the root and stem of all evil. The beginning is the most important part of the work. Good people do not need laws to tell them to act responsibly, while bad people will find a way around the laws. Necessity is the mother of invention. This city is what it is because our citizens are what they are. Those who are able to see beyond the shadows and lies of their culture will never be understood, let alone believed, by the masses. The measure of a man is what he does with power. Knowledge is the food of the soul. Excess generally causes reaction and produces a change in the opposite direction, whether it be in the seasons or in individuals or in governments. Never discourage anyone who continually makes progress, no matter how slow. The first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself, to be conquered by yourself as of all things most shameful and vile. Wise men talk because they have something to say. Fools, because they have to say something. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. The object of education is to teach us to love what is beautiful. Music is a moral law. It gives soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and charm and gaiety to life and to everything. For the introduction of a new kind of music must be shunned as imperiling the whole state, since styles of music are never disturbed without affecting the most important political institutions. A house that has a loving atmosphere will always be a better house. He who is of calm and happy nature will hardly feel the pressure of age. Thinking that talking of the soul with itself. The soul takes nothing with her to the next world but her education and culture. Democracy passes into despotism. Dictatorship naturally arises out of democracy, and the most extreme form of tyranny, and slavery out of the most extreme form of liberty. The philosopher whose dealings are with divine objects. He is the statesman whose dealings are with human beings. No law can contemplate the infinite variety of human actions. Knowledge which is acquired under compulsion has no hold on the mind. You should not honor men more than truth. States are as the men are. They grow out of human characters. There will be no end to the troubles of states till philosophers become kings or kings philosophers. Only the dead have seen the end of war. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Rhetoric is the art of ruling the minds of men. Man is a prisoner who has no idea that he is in prison. We are twice armed if we fight with faith. Expect the unexpected. Education is the ornament of the intellect. False words are not only evil in themselves, but they infect the soul with evil. For good nurture and education implant good constitutions. He best keeps from anger who remembers that God is always looking down on him.